Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at noon.
People are still picking up the pieces after a deadly tornado ripped through Otter Tail County. One person died in that twister and at least 2 people had to be taken to the hospital. Now here is a look at some of that damage near Dalton. A house was completely leveled by the tornado. Only what appears to be a foundation or a basement is left. You see right there the back of a semi tipped over. An SUV was also lifted and thrown halfway in the ground as well. And besides the homeowner's personal belongings, like you're seeing right there, there is no evidence that a house was ever even in that area. Now, here is a live look at an outage map from Lake Region Electric. They say the tornado broke 10 power poles and around 1,400 customers are still without power in Otter Tail County. Electric companies from other parts of Minnesota are now coming in to help get the power back on. And this is likely what caused damage to parts of that area. This is terrifying video showing the tornado moving through. Now, if you have any damage pictures or video from the storm, you can submit them at valleynewslive.com. Our First Alert Storm team tracked those storms all morning and evening, so let's head on over to Lisa Green with the latest on what we know about the tornado and what we can expect today.
Well, good afternoon. Yeah, we're looking at the damage surveys coming in. National Weather Service just released a statement, in fact, that they're out doing a formal survey today. So really going into the details of what they're experiencing and seeing out in northern parts of Grant County and into Otter Tail County, where this tornado's path was. Here's the initial assessment. So this may change, but just to give you an idea of what we were dealing with, this started a little bit after 5 o'clock last night, touching down about 6 miles southwest of Dalton, crossing over I-94 there, and then hitting 3 farmsteads at this point in time. Rated an EF3. Now, again, this is preliminary. This may change as they continue to assess the damage today. They're hoping to get more information out to us later today, but wind speeds estimated to be between 136 to 165 miles per hour. So again, multiple reports that came in yesterday from that storm. Here's a look at conditions right now. So much nicer. It's quieter. We're not expecting to see storms today. We've got a few clouds to the north, but some beautiful weather coming up here for the afternoon. So we're going to talk more about that. We're going to take a look at how long this quieter period will last too, coming up in just a few minutes.
I'm very thankful it's calm out there. Thank you, Lisa. New at noon, 6 people were arrested by Fargo police after a man said they tried to break down his apartment door and threatened to shoot him. When police arrived at the scene last night, the suspects drove away in 2 different vehicles. One of the vehicles was then found and stopped near Westacre Cinema. After stopping that vehicle, officers noticed the smell of marijuana and they saw a gun in the glove box. Officers then arrested 3 people, Jarvis Williams, McMason Baker, and Terrence Spragging for terrorizing. 2 juveniles were also referred for terrorizing and released to their parents. This morning, then, police were called to the same apartment for another man threatening a person with a gun as well. They found Anatiel Dersteel, who was arrested for previous terrorizing and also a new count of terrorizing for that incident. Moorhead police want your help finding a missing woman. 51-year-old Patricia Edlund has been missing since July 5th. That's according to the post from the Moorhead police. Family and friends say they're concerned about her not having any contact with them since that day. They say that's not normal behavior. She has a medical history of Huntington's disease and was recently in the Detroit Lakes area, but it's unknown if she's still there. It is possible that she's driving a gray 2008 Saturn Aura. If you have any information on where she could be, you should contact the Moorhead police. New details coming out in the death of George Floyd after authorities released audio recordings of the former Minneapolis police officer's body cameras. The body camera recordings from 2 other former officers at the scene, Thomas Lane and Jay King, reveal Floyd's many pleas for air and Chauvin's dismissal, saying it takes a heck of a lot of oxygen to talk. Also in the recordings, Floyd tells the officers trying to put him in the back of a cruiser that he had COVID-19 and he didn't want to go back to that. Chauvin is charged with murder and manslaughter. The Minnesota Department of Health is reporting another noticeable increase in positive COVID-19 cases. The state says 589 more cases are reported, bringing the active case count to 3,480. 5 new deaths are reported, bringing the death toll to 1,490. More than 35,000 people are listed as recovered. The state of North Dakota is reporting 99 more positive COVID-19 cases. 29 are in Cass County, 23 in Burleigh County, and 1 in Grand Forks County. This brings the active case count in the state to 521. No new deaths are reported, keeping the death toll at 85. 3,464 people are recovered. The president is now pushing for schools across the country to reopen. His education secretary says it's not a matter of if kids head back to the classroom, but how. Paula Reed reports on the administration's effort to override some expert advice.
We want the schools to be open and going in the fall.
The president tweeted Wednesday that he disagrees with his own CDC's very tough and expensive guidelines for opening schools. The current guidelines encourage the use of cloth face coverings, social distancing, staggered scheduling, and no communal space. After the president's criticism, Vice President Mike Pence announced new CDC guidelines will be released next week.
We just don't want the guidance to be too tough.
What is not the intent of CDC's guidelines is to be used as a rationale to keep schools closed.
But Dr. Deborah Birx admits the data on children in COVID is incomplete because not enough testing has been done.
The portion that has been the lowest tested portion is the under 10-year-olds. So we're putting into place other ways to get testing results from them.
President Trump ignored questions from CBS News about the lack of data.
How can you say it's safe to send them back to school?
The administration's push to reopen has also prompted backlash from some governors who say the president is putting politics over science.
I'm not sending kids and our education workforce into our schools unless it's safe. It's that simple.
And notably absent from Wednesday's task force briefing was Dr. Anthony Fauci, who earlier this week contradicted President Trump on the severity of the pandemic.
Does the president still have confidence in Dr. Fauci?
The president has confidence in the conclusions of our medical experts, but it's up to him to determine what to do with that information.
Until this week, President Donald Trump had deferred to local leaders on how to reopen communities. A White House advisor says getting kids back to school is a way to allow parents to go back to work, which could fuel an economic resurgence ahead of the November election. But even top administration officials admit they really don't know if that's safe. In our consumer alert this afternoon, the coronavirus pandemic has negatively impacted the income of nearly half of all Americans. According to a new survey from Bankrate, 49% of those surveyed say they have taken a hit to their income due to the pandemic. That includes layoffs, furloughs, and reduced hours. In all, 59% of those suffering an income reduction from the pandemic expect it will take longer than 3 months to recover. Walgreens reported worse than expected results for the last quarter and is planning to cut 4,000 jobs. The drugstore giant also announced today it would suspend stock buybacks. Walgreens said fewer visits to doctors' offices and hospitals weighed on prescription volumes. Prescriptions filled at its U.S. drugstores fell 1.3% compared to 1 year ago. Walgreens posted a net loss of $1.7 billion for the quarter. Coming up here at noon, young people are pushing for broader education on American history, especially when it comes to African American history. We take a look at the movement a little later on, but next, Lisa Green is in with another overview of the twister that moved through parts of our region and what we can expect in our calmer Thursday forecast.